number is. I've lost track with my 1 million followers, and I have a very special guest today.
Hi, Joe.
My mom! My mom is here in the studio, and so are her dogs. Well, her
Not my
Tracy.
dogs.
Yeah,
Our dogs.
somebody's random dogs that came off the street. We don't know where the hell they came from, but they're running around here causing trouble, peeing on the carpet and stuff. So if you hear dogs bark, that's just the way it's going to roll today. So I'm super excited to have my mom in the studio for my very famous podcast.
Yes.
I can tell already it's going to be a great show.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, Mom didn't find out until yesterday that I had conned you into doing this. And I was telling Mom that when I posted this on Facebook that I wanted to do a podcast with her, scads and scads of people commented, enthusiastic, support of the idea. Definitely a great idea to have Mom on the podcast. So thanks for doing this with me, Mommy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, this is going to be super.
I hope I don't get put in jail for anything that I say.
I don't know. Yeah. So we talked about rules, and the rules are you can swear as much as you want, as I tell just about every guest. And yeah.
Everybody?
Well, I've only had a few guests, and we've done some swearing, but that's okay. Yeah, but we have some cool things to talk about, I think.
But I rarely swear.
Rarely. She's a pillar.
But when I do, it's very creative.
Yeah, it's creative and memorable. Yes, it's an original. Like you're like a top quality swearer too.
Like a trucker, lumberjack.
Yeah.
That kind.
Kind of a cross between that and a sailor.
And a rigger.
And a pipeliner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of those.
Yeah. Growing up in Cromer cowboy country, you can't go through life without swearing like a trucker or a pipeliner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when you got two girls.
Exactly.
Yes.
That are as dainty as fuck.
And who learned those words early. Actually in grade 1.
Yeah.
Running down the school halls, shouting those famous words.
Yeah. I probably learned it from you, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I can't remember saying anything like that.
Well, I do, because Mom started swearing when she started working was it when you started working at the bank or when you went to school?
Oh, it was the bank. Yeah. The girls at the bank were very pristine, but they're very careful about their language.
Yeah. So that's when we started. Yeah, that was a really good experience, and we're going to jump into that, because one thing that when I was thinking about wanting Mom to come on the podcast is that probably we've got the entire municipality tuning in here.
Oh, yeah.
All of Sinclair, Pipestone, Cromer, Reston, tuning in for this podcast, and
the whole province.
You're going to be a legend, Mom. They're probably going to want you to run for premier, probably.
Does Oprah still have the show?
Well, she does stuff, so she'll probably be in touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Oprah.
Yeah.
Just call me and I'll give you my number.
Call me. Yeah. So, and I think the thing that I'm excited about this podcast is that I think Mom has a little bit of a reputation, I'm not sure, of being kind of jokey and jokey, filthy sense of humor, very free spirit, fun loving, and all that stuff, which is all true, 100% true. Yes. I know she's blushing with all these compliments. Yeah. But what I really want, and we talked about this just a few minutes ago, what I think I'd like to dive into is the fact that over the years, one thing that has really impressed me is that you're so positive. And we've talked about this over numerous happy hours. We have our happy hour cocktail here, Paralyzers. Over numerous happy hours, we've talked about mindset and our outlook on life, and just how to get through adversity with the way we see the world. And what a lot of people don't know, I think, is a bit of your backstory. Yeah, which sounds especially exciting, doesn't it? Scandalous.
That's why she's feeding me Paralyzers.
Yeah, so I can get all the dirt. She'll get her all liquored up, and she'll tell me all the really crazy stories. Yeah. But one thing before we kick off too much is that it's a special day here because it's Dad's birthday. Yeah. February 18th. And Dad would have been 85 years old. So happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Henry.
Happy birthday, Henry.
We still love you just as much because we still think you're listening to us.
Yeah, we really do. I still can't believe that it's been almost a year since he left us in the physical sense, but I still don't feel like he's really gone. And what I was thinking about the other night was I hope he knows just how much he is still loved and talked about and remembered, and all the lessons and everything are still very much with us.
I know, and he was a great storyteller too.
He was, yeah. He would have been a good guy to have on a podcast. Yeah, for sure. So it's a special day for us here to celebrate Dad's birthday. And when Dad was in the personal care home, I talked to him every week, and sometimes I would ask him different questions just to get the conversation going. And one thing that we often talked about was you, of course. And that one year we made the birthday present for you, and we got this sweater and we got the card, and he talked about all the things that he loved about you. And the first thing that he said, and it often came up in conversation, was how positive you are. All through life, you always had such this great outlook on life. So that's kind of what I want the theme of our talk today. And I've been given strict instructions here for a bio. She's already given me instructions because she thinks she's famous now. But I'm supposed to read this because this Mom believes really captures who she is.
This is the book I just reading today.
Yeah, you just picked this up.
Yeah.
So it's a Titanic book, and this captures Mom. And so it says, he very rarely thought rationally before he spoke. His words just seemed to bypass his brain in some oddly inexplicable way and travel directly to his mouth where they tumbled. So warning, folks, we really have no idea what's going to come of this podcast. Between Mom and myself, it's anybody's guess what the hell is going to come out of our mouths and what we're going to say.
And we don't apologize for any of it.
100%. Do not apologize. Because this is the Ordinary Joe show.
And we are authentic.
So you're going to get the real deal here as we go through our paralyzers. Yeah. And talk about all great things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And bad things too.
Yeah, and bad things. So with that, let's dive into the nitty gritty of Isabel Sarn. Yes. So a lot of people, I think, a lot of your friends growing up probably knew a little bit about your life. I don't really know how much they knew about your childhood.
Probably not much.
Yeah. So how about I'll just jump in and then you can tell our millions of people who are tuning in a little bit about your life. Is that life wasn't really a picnic for you growing up. You grew up in the community of Woodnorth, which is just southwest of Virden, and to put it plainly, life wasn't easy. And your dad Lionel and your mom Edna had a pretty tough go, especially Edna, because Lionel, to put it plainly, was
abusive.
He was abusive. He was a bit of a bastard. And like even Tracy and I were talking this afternoon, is that there's probably a lot that went on that has never been talked about, and maybe stuff that you don't even know happened.
I'm sure a lot of it, because I was quite young.
Mm-hmm.
My mother died when I was 18, simply because she could. It was the easiest way to get out of a marriage.
Yeah, that's tough, eh? And she was only 15 when she got married, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she was 15 and he was 37. And abusive, like he had an alcohol problem.
Well, I would say attitude problem.
He had an attitude problem. He was very mean, and so you were the youngest of 10 children.
Yes.
And from what you've told me is that it was easiest just to stay away from him. You probably learned from your siblings too, just to stay the hell away. And
when Dad came in the house, we all went to the bedroom. We never took part in anything other than to come for meals, just otherwise you'd starve.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And you told me before we started the show that you never saw him physically beat Edna, but she always had bruises. Yes. And so there was definitely evidence there.
And definite injuries that crippled her. Like she suffered for days and days after a whooping.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She fell down the stairs into the cellar. There was a door that lifted up that went to the cellar, and they had been out partying. And when my mother came in the house, she hadn't turned the lights on.
Oh,
and she just came in. Now, we don't know whether Dad pushed her down there or whether she just
Yeah.
fell down. But that took her months because it really messed with her back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she took a lot of abuse, and it was a lot of hardship because it's not like you guys had much money either, right? Like it was a pretty
And
poor living in
this was
poverty.
a day when credit really meant something to you. My mom never was allowed money. And so any groceries that we had, we got, she would go to the Woodnorth store and order or get whatever she needed. And then at the end of the year, after the harvest, my dad would go and pay for the
Okay.
groceries.
Yeah.
Sometimes he paid twice a year, but generally once a year he paid for the groceries. So,
Yeah.
credit meant a lot at that time.
Yeah, and that was kind of a little bit of goodness for you. I remember you talking about how that was kind of the one good part of your day with that you could go to the store with your mom and she would buy you a coconut chocolate bar or something, wouldn't she?
Yeah, we could have what we wanted.
Yeah.
But the best part was Jody was walking with her hand in hand
Yeah.
to the store.
That's super, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like what a good memory. And you see, what you've talked about so much is that Edna had such a great spirit, right?
Oh, she did.
Yeah, yeah,
She was a wonderful mother.
yeah. And we've talked a lot about how Mom has such a strong level of positivity, and I like. I mean, you faced great adversity in your life, and yet, yeah, you talk about how it was your mom that got it because and you know what I love is that she talks like her famous saying was, if you don't like my gate, don't swing on it.
And that was what she lived by.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she knew that other people must have known what was going on in their house.
Yeah.
But it was never talked about.
Yeah, and this is coming at a day. Like, I mean, nowadays, if you experience abuse at home or spousal abuse, or if you are living with an alcoholic, there are supports, and it's becoming more acceptable to talk about that stuff. But in that days, A, it wasn't acceptable to talk about it, and B, where the hell would she have gone if she wanted to leave?
Well, who wanted 10 kids?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
and nobody. She was so young, and everybody was probably in financial straits, or a lot of people were. Oh, yeah, and so she didn't have a lot of options, and so her option was to have this great spirit about her and to be a survivor.
She was a survivor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and what a legend. And if you can think about it, to be married when you're 15 years old to this bastard, honestly, who makes your life hell, and still raise these kids with a spirit of love. And I don't know, she was kind of like a free spirit. She had this great sense about her. Was. Yeah, and she passed that on to you.
I think she passed it on to us. But one thing I want to mention too is that it isn't talked about today as much as it should be.
Yeah.
There are some resources now, but sometimes the control over a spouse is so great, they're terrified to let on that anything is wrong with their marriage.
You're right. And it's kind of like this business, like the social media, like reality versus what you see on social media, that we have this tendency to want to make our lives look perfect when really shit is going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
That really needs to be talked about, and we need to have that open dialogue where people can ask for support, not just women, but men too. And get people to a place of good mental health and safety.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to have a place where you can feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just so important, and I think that you are a survivor, and like Edna, like I never met her. She passed away before I was born.
Oh, she passed away 6 months after I got married.
Yeah, exactly, which in itself was tough, right?
Oh, very much.
Yeah, so you raised us without having your mom around too. So I mean, here's a good cheers. Cheers to you, Mom, because hell, like, I mean, you lost your mom when you were 18. You grew up with this son of a bitch in the house who was abusive, and you still have this great spirit of life and caring and giving and this warrior attitude. And we've laughed over the years, like, you've got this take no shit attitude too, right? Because I mean, if anybody knows Mom, she ain't taking shit from anybody. And and that comes, what I think is beautiful is that as tough as things were in your life, you've turned that into something really positive too.
Right.
Yeah.
And between my life and my kids, I learned one thing that you can be, and this is inspiring, should be for everybody.
Yeah.
The only person you can be is yourself.
Yeah.
So quit trying to fool people about who you are.
Yeah.
You are who you are, and be happy with yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
You are who you are, because
Jody taught me that too.
well,
when she
you
was
taught
in
me that.
grade 10 when you shaved your head.
Oh yeah, that was in university. You gotta tell them this story.
I say I can't.
Oh, you can for sure.
Well, Jody had a little struggle going through school, you know, the
Oh yeah.
traditional being picked on
Yeah.
and whatever.
Yeah.
And she decided one day at school that she was going to be herself.
Yep.
So she shaved her head.
Yep.
And faced all those kids at school with pride.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. That was my day that I said, fuck you. I'm going to be exactly who I want. And I think I went to a hair place in Reston, and I had this picture of a checkerboard hairdo style. And this is before it was cool. Like, this was like super weird. And I think it was Shelly Burney. Is that her name? I don't even know where she is now. I think her name was Shelly Burney, and she didn't say a word. She didn't question me at all. And she cut this into my hair. But, you know, and I think that's what Mom has a reputation in Reston and Cromer and Pipestone and literally everybody is not giving a shit what people think about you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's such a level of respect there because, you know, as moms, as community people, as whatever, we're under this pressure to like fit this mold of like the upstanding, you know, don't say shit if your mouth is full of a kind of person.
Pretend you're religious.
Yeah, you know, and pretend you're something that you're not, just to make people, you know, maybe respect you more. But what I have such great respect is that you are who you are and you don't give a shit.
I call myself a WYSIWYG.
A WYSIWYG.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you see is what you got.
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
And it works.
It totally does, doesn't it?
It totally does. I don't have to pretend anything.
Yeah, I love that.
Except I'm pretending I don't swear today.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is fair game here. Yeah, totally. So I think that's one thing. Would you say that kind of attitude has carried you through your whole life?
Oh, for sure. Because too often we see other families and we picture them as having perfect lives. And I found out that one of my friends did not have a perfect life.
Yeah. Yeah.
His life was just as bad as ours, but we never knew it on behind closed doors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we don't, none of our lives are perfect. Like, everybody has shit going on, and everybody, you know, everybody makes mistakes. And I think it's that imperfection that makes something really valuable.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what makes things really good is the imperfection, not being completely perfect.
Oh, you know,
except you.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty much there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
one thing that is really amazes me, how generous my mother was.
Mm-hmm.
And so are you, Jody. You're so generous. I don't know where you learned it from. I don't think I was like that.
Of course you guys were. And you know, it's so funny because on Facebook I was like, what should we ask Mom, or what should we talk about? And a few people commented like, oh, well, how you know, talk about how amazing you are. And you know, over the years, you know, since I've done my baton race and helped Leroy and all that stuff, some people will say, oh, you're so amazing. But I really don't think that I'm amazing. I pretty much 99% horse's ass most of the time. And I've made a ton of mistakes and done regretful things. But if I have any measure of success or goodness, it's from Mom and Dad, because you taught me to try shit. And that's one thing that I'd like to talk about next. Yeah. To try and don't be afraid to try, you know, because of failure, but just to, you know, go out of your comfort zone and do creative and different things and to be yourself. And Dad and you both taught me about the spirit of giving.
Oh, your dad was great at that.
He was something else, eh?
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
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 That was Jody's and your dad's project.
That was something else, you know, because you know, Mom and Dad have always been have been givers. And, from something as small as paying for everybody's coffee at the Cromer Cafe to buying somebody's lunch. You guys would go to a restaurant in Brandon and Dad would spot somebody who looked like they were having a tough time and he'd go, I just bought your lunch, and then that just carried on to bigger things. And so one afternoon, Dad phoned me and he had been listening to CKLQ.
Yeah.
And he had heard this story about this. I guess it maybe was the 75th anniversary of D-Day. I don't know. It was a big ceremony over in Normandy where all the vets from Canada were to go over and have this big ceremony and celebration of the invasion of D-Day. And this gentleman from Deloraine, and his name was Frank. You have a good memory. I think it was Gooden. Yeah. So Dad had heard about this guy who had fought that day and had been taken prisoner by the Germans and had spent, I don't know, 6 months or so in a German prisoner of war camp. And he lived in Deloraine and he didn't have the money to get over there for the celebration. And it didn't seem like Veterans Affairs or anybody was going to really give him the support he needed to get over there. And this guy was, he was pretty old by then.
Yeah, and it was Métis or Inuit.
Yeah.
Inuit.
Yeah.
First Nations.
Yeah. So Dad was like, how do we find this guy? And this is well before like the internet was really solid, and he was like, how do we find this guy? I want to get him over there. So I did some digging and we made some phone calls and I found this guy's son and I explained to him who we are and who Dad was. And I said, we want to get you over there. And so Dad and I chipped in what I could and Tracy did. And then we put the word out and I think some of my former students chipped in money too. And we were able to make sure that he got over there to France for the celebrations, which was massive. And then you guys went and visited him too.
After, yeah.
Yeah.
But the great thing was nobody really knew about this veteran.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of left on his own. But in the end, because they knew that of the money that you and your dad had raised and Tracy.
Yeah.
And I think he went over with one of the members of Parliament.
That's right. Yeah.
They let him in on their plane and he flew.
Yeah.
Which was so great.
Yeah, it's super cool. And that's just the kind of guy that Dad was, and you are just like if you see somebody in need, you just step up and you do what you can to help that person, not for the accolades or the glory or the recognition. It's just because that's just what you do. Yeah, exactly. So here's to Henry. Cheers, Henry.
Cheers, Henry.
Yeah, we're gonna get loaded here doing all these cheers here to everybody. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I think has inspired probably many people in the community is Mom is not afraid to try shit all the way for years and years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll get this started here. We didn't have a hell of a lot of money growing up. Like farming was tough and, we were so happy that like, it didn't matter. Money doesn't mean shit. Lots of times we had a great childhood. But I remember standing at the kitchen window one day after school and Mom rolls in and we had this little Plymouth Horizon white car and she pulls in and there's these huge speakers. They're like 4 feet or 5 feet long speakers attached to the top of her car. And I was, what the hell is she doing? And here she had just decided that she was going to set up this music DJ business. And you just marched in the house and you said, I'm setting up a DJ business. And that was that. And then you spent the next several months bugging everybody all over the community for their records and recording all their music and making this. And you had a thriving DJ business and you did really well.
Well, it wasn't that good, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I think you did really good. It was amazing. But you did all sorts of jobs. You did whatever it took, and you weren't afraid to try whatever it took to bring some money into the household.
I like the guarding.
Yes. Yes.
Police guard.
Yeah, that was cool.
Him.
Yeah, she was a guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you painted with Anne quite a bit.
Yeah, we were the town painters.
The town painters.
We painted half the town of Reston.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not the half.
Yeah, you painted quite a bit though,
yeah.
And you developed your safety in the swine barn course.
That was really something because I had done some work for crop insurance.
Yeah,
and they put an ad in the paper. ACC put an ad in the paper that they wanted somebody to do some work for them. So I thought, that this ad was for teaching hail adjusting. So I applied, and lo and behold, they phoned me and said, would I come in for an interview?
That's
So
cool.
I went in thinking that I was going to teach a course on
Yeah.
hail adjusting. But that wasn't it at all. They said, no, we know that you are involved a bit in safety, and you were a teacher, and all the minimalistic jobs that I had.
Yeah, you had a ton of experience.
Yeah, in everything but in pigs.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know a thing about a pig other than people that sat at the table.
Yeah.
Oh, that's up front. Mom, I'm sorry, Jody. We didn't have any of those. But anyway, I got to write the first, and I don't know if it's the only,
I don't know,
safety in the swine industry.
Yeah, we'll have to see if it's still offered.
For ACC.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And
yeah,
they use that program for quite a few
yeah,
years.
that's super cool.
It was super cool.
Yeah, so just to take a risk, and what a great lesson for us all. You don't have to be an expert, and it doesn't matter if you fail or anything, but never be afraid just to try something. And even the Cromer Stick Horse Rodeo.
That was a treasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, like did Dad you guys had been somewhere, hadn't you? Or?
Oh, your dad was a cowboy in and all the way through.
Yeah.
And he always enjoyed the rodeos. So anyway, we talked about what a rodeo should be.
Yeah.
But we wanted this rodeo to be for children because they always have functions and things to do for teenage children and older children.
Yeah.
Skating and hockey and figure skating. But they have nothing for children,
Yeah, just the little tots.
Just the little tots.
Yeah.
So we made this stick horse rodeo.
Yeah.
And we geared it around a real rodeo.
Yeah.
So we had roping. So we bought lassos.
Yeah.
We had herding, cattle herding. We didn't have cattle though. So I made the wooden ducks.
Yeah.
The little big flipper legs. And you push these ducks and their feet would go like this, and the kids loved them.
Oh yeah, it was just a blast. The chuck wagon races.
Yeah. And that was a treasure because in Calgary Stampede, they have the chuck wagon races, and the chuck wagons in Calgary, the tarps are sold ahead of time for their chuck wagons.
Yeah.
And whoever buys the tarp, their company logo goes on the tarp. So we did that, and so the kids all had to get their little wagon and their little stick horse, and they had to turn their little wagon into a chuck wagon with a tarp, and we auctioned it off the tarps.
And they got good money.
And whatever the tarp sold for, the kids got the money. That was for them to spend on themselves.
Yeah.
Or they could put it in the bank for their schooling.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the tarps sold up to as high as $400.
Yeah. Those first years they went bananas.
And they loved it.
Oh, it was a hoot.
And those kids were so excited to get that money. But the best part was I started in February to go around to the businesses in Verdon, Reston, and wherever and ask for donations. And I got a ton of donations.
Tons.
And we got money donations. So we went into, Bev Duncan and I went into Brandon and we bought oodles of toys.
Yeah.
And then on the race day, before the race day, we had the tarp auction.
Yeah.
And the kids really didn't understand. And I don't think even the parents understood what this auction was about. But anyway, we had the tarp auction. And the people around Cromer and Verdon and Elkhorn and Reston were so generous at sponsoring these kids' tarps. So then on the Stick Horse Rodeo Day, the children had to take their tarp and they had to paint the logo of whoever bought their tarp, which was a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was just fun to watch all those children painting their tarps.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And then one year, the RCMP, where, of course, they led the parade.
Yeah.
We had a parade around town. They went all the way around Cromer.
Yeah.
Big parade. But it was, the kids loved that.
Yeah.
They had their own parade.
Superstars for a day.
Yeah, but anyway, before the parade that year, we had the tarp auction. And these RCMP members came along and said, "Are they selling those kids?" Because the kids were standing beside their wagons and they were, "Okay, he'll give me 10, he'll give me 10, he'll give me 5, he'll give me 100.
Yeah.
And on it went, and the kid tarp would sell for $50 or $100. And the cops were just floored. What are they doing selling those kids?
Yeah.
And somebody laughed and said, "No, we're not selling their kids.
Yeah.
We're selling the tarps."
Yeah, somebody had been to a rodeo. But what community spirit over the years, eh? Because, like, I mean, on rodeo day, every single person from the community was there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like making the pancake breakfast and, you know,
Yeah.
the lunch and
The breakfast
participating.
was free.
Yeah.
The lunch was free for the children.
Yeah.
And, of course, they had all the places to go where you had to practice your cowboy skills.
Yeah.
And we have a few extras put in, like shooting the balloons.
Yeah.
And roping and bull riding.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
And then at the end of the rodeo, the kids, we put all the prizes out on a big table. And I mean, we had a
Huge.
lot of prizes.
Yeah.
And every child got to go up and pick their own prize. And they were so happy to be able to pick the prize that they wanted.
And they got to go up a few times.
And oh, yes. And they were so proud. And one little kid was walking. I heard one little kid walking out to his car after. He says, "Boy, I was sure good at that."
That's great.
And you know,
yeah,
kids could go to this function and take part in what was a sort of a competition, but every child was a winner.
Yeah, everybody won that day.
Yeah, they all had fun.
Oh, piles and even the adults had a blast. Like, it was such a great day.
Breakfast was free.
I know.
Yeah, that's how you get them there. Free food.
Free food, free breakfast. But
And
what a pile of fun.
for 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years. And that was just Henry and Isabel just dreaming up an idea, you know, not being able afraid to try something.
Yeah, but the community had to pitch in.
Huge community spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't been to Cromer yet, you have to go to Cromer. You have to visit the store and get some pizza and a cinnamon bun and say hi to the owners, and then you need to go for coffee because it's literally lots of great communities out, Cromer, Reston, Pipestone, all the people out there just go, cheers to all the people.
Cheers, I already had my
Cromer,
cheer.
yeah, cheers, Cromer, Reston, Pipestone, all the people.
They're all good places to live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. They sure are. And so let's talk about dementia. And not in a bad way. No, because you see, one thing that I think, it's no secret in the community of Reston Cromer area, that dad faced dementia in the last probably several years of his life.
Yeah.
But, and a lot of people really shy away from that word because, fuck, it's scary. Like, I mean, I'm paranoid every single day that I'm getting dementia. But I think we've learned a lot of really valuable lessons.
Well, I've learned that I've had it for probably 10 years now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What was your name again?
Yeah. Mom.
What are we doing again? Why is this camera on? Yeah.
I think it's the camera.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah.
No.
So I guess we shouldn't really laugh about it. It's not a joking matter, but
we learned a lot.
We really did, and that's the thing is that I am never afraid to talk about Dad in the regards of dementia because I think that one thing that we learned, and we've talked about this in the past, that right up until his very last day, he was still in there. Like, you could still see that he was in there. Yeah. And I think people think that as soon as you get that Alzheimer's or dementia diagnosis, that you're gone. That you're done and you're gone. You can't enjoy life. You can't contribute. And I know for even the girls who took care of him in the home, like, they had lots of Henry stories.
Oh, and when he passed away, the Staff were crying.
Yeah, they were so good to him.
They were.
They really were. Yeah.
But how do you think that you really related to your dad when he was in the care home?
How did I relate to him?
Yeah,
Like even like at the very end or all the time?
all the time.
Well, it's because like I mean Henry was never really gone, and I think that what was so fascinating was that even though the conversations maybe changed, I think if you could open up yourself to jump into his world,
Yes.
you could experience this new world that was equally as wonderful and fascinating. Because we had some really
Yes.
great
Oh,
discussions.
he did. And he
Um,
traveled a lot. didn't he?
yeah, you know. So just jumping into his world, you could still have a really great experience with him in his world of dementia. And it was still him.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
He loved to tell stories and he was very good at it.
Yeah, yeah.
And what amazed me was how articulate he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And he never lost his sense of humor.
never.
And one of the gals, when we were in there that last week with him, of course, you get a chance to get to know. I got a chance because I never saw them in person very much.
Yeah.
So Tracy and I were in there 24/7 with Dad, which was 100% an honor, I have to say. But the one gal was telling me that one day they had to, of course, they have to rotate him to make sure he didn't get bed sores and put cream on his legs and stuff like that. And she said that one,
And the other parts.
yeah, all the other parts, Mom. Yeah,
The man bits.
the man bits, yeah. So anyhow, she said that they were flipping him over, and I guess the one day I think she had to give him an enema or something like that. And he says, and everybody in Manitoba knows the Henry voice, you know, like he kind of talks like this. And he says, she's giving him this enema, and it's clearly awkward and uncomfortable. And he goes, "You don't get paid enough to do this." And she just burst out laughing because it was just pure Henry. So yeah, like I mean, for anybody who is coping with the diagnosis of someone with dementia, yeah, like it's the shits. Like there's no question.
Literally.
It is literally the shits.
Yeah.
But don't forget that your loved one is still in there, and you can experience still a lot of magic and joy with that person.
And they're getting such good care.
Oh, and we just have cheers to the Willowview. Cheers to
all Willowview.
Cheers to everybody.
All the girls that have to do the work, and that is hard.
It is hard work,
physically and hard mentally.
Yeah, can't say enough good things. Not just the staff at the Willowview, but every personal care home, every hospital, clinic.
Yes.
Like that is just such hard work, and the care that they're just super, super, super people. Yeah. He was, and like I know that he felt like he was very well taken care of.
Oh yeah.
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 So
he was a runner though.
He was. He gave them a run for their money too, I think.
Well, not only that, they had to post his picture at the door so that he wouldn't get away on them. No kidding.
And didn't he set off the fire extinguisher?
Oh yes. But they had an electrician there doing some work.
Right.
And Henry always liked to help out.
Yeah.
And so he thought this electrician needed help. So he yarded the fire extinguisher off the wall and threw it into his half ton. Now you have to understand that with people with dementia, sometimes they hallucinate.
Yeah.
And to him, he was helping the electrician. He was throwing stuff into his truck, which he didn't have in the Willowview. But to him, he was putting this stuff in the Willowview and helping this transfer.
And did he set it off? I thought he set it off.
Accidentally discharged.
That takes a little bit of skill though to set that off. Like,
well, not if you tinker around enough. Yeah. He certainly kept the girls on their toes.
He did, yeah. I think, yeah. No, I can't say enough good things about those girls. I consider them all friends and family, that's for sure. But we did, and I think we learned going back to even the adversity that we faced early on in life, we learned the spirit of positivity and gratitude, right?
Oh, for sure, gratitude, because I knew I couldn't look after Henry the way they cared for him. Yeah, and
it wasn't easy to see him decline like that, but we always felt such gratitude for having him there and still being able to have conversations with him. And he felt gratitude, like even in his final months, he always said he felt really grateful for where he was and
and he loved it. I have to tell you, Jody, I don't know if I ever told you this, I went in there one day. I think it was after he had his first bath.
Uh-huh.
And apparently they have a great big bathtub in
Mm-hmm.
the care home. And he says, boy, did ever have a good bath.
That's
he said,
awesome.
He said, they washed every part of me. Even bits I didn't even know I had.
See? Yeah, like, yeah, gratitude, man.
Oh, man, yeah.
If your ass feels happy and if you got clean balls, then life is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
your backside is happy,
Yeah.
the rest of you can be happy.
Exactly.
And the girls took care of him, all the business.
All the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taking care of business.
Thank you, Reston.
Thank you, everybody in Reston.
Thank you, everybody in Reston.
Yeah. Cromer, all you guys. Yeah. Cheers.
Everybody that cared.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the people who didn't care, cheers to you guys too.
Yeah. It sucks to be you.
Yeah. So, parting words, Grandma Isabel. Do you have any words of wisdom or advice for anybody before we go?
Yes, I do. I think when you and Dean got married, one of the first days that I think we were out for lunch together.
Uh-huh.
And Dean says to me, he says, Isabel, what advice are you going to give us for getting married? Do you remember that?
No.
And I told Dean, I said, don't tell anybody lies. Don't tell your wife lies.
Oh, okay.
And don't let her tell you lies.
Oh, good. That's good advice.
Because the truth in a marriage is awesome. It's worth its weight in gold, because Henry and I came through some rough times.
Yeah, for sure.
But everything was out in the open, and we never lied to each other.
Yeah. And do you know what I really love about your marriage is that you guys were wildly different, but you really
terribly different. I don't think anybody thought we'd survive it.
No, but you really complimented each other and respected each other for kind of the differences, I think.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that works better than people that are too much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to go outside your box. That didn't sound very nice. I'm sorry. You know how you have to think outside your box? That didn't make it any better, did it?
Yeah, we're just now where it's going right into
going into the toilet.
Yeah, fucks and boxes and yeah, that's what you get when you have a drink with Grandma Isabel. Izzie.
Never have your mother on the podcast. She's sure to blow everything. Oh, I know. I'm not that either.
Yeah, blowing and it's going downhill, Grandma.
Right, we better end it.
We're getting really wise here. Yeah. Anything else to share? Any other lessons before we go?
No, like I said, you taught me, and I think my mom taught me to just be yourself. You can't be a better person than yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't lie. Don't tell lies.
Don't tell lies. Be yourself. Positivity.
Yeah. Be happy, because the other is the shits.
It is the shits. Yeah. Excellent.
Live a good life.
Grandma, you are awesome. I love you to bits.
Oh, God, I
you're
love
awesome.
you too.
Yeah. You're awesome, Mommy.
Thank you, Joe. You're awesome too. I got 2 awesome kids.
Yeah, we're very blessed.
Again, very different girls.
Both
awesome.
Both awesome, yeah.
Both awesome.
Here's to Tracy.
Here's to Tracy.
Yeah.
Oh, Luke. She's lovely. She's got a personality of her own. She's very much like Henry. She won't take any shit either, so don't try it.
Yeah. Alrighty, that's the Ordinary Joe Show. Thanks for tuning in. Buy somebody a coffee or a beer or a paralyzer.
Yeah, or just invite them for coffee.
Yeah.
People don't do that anymore.
Yeah, we just got to get back to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Love you.
Love ya.